And Deion Sanders, the Hall of Famer, who you remember,
Coach Prime.
J.R., I mean, they wouldn't even throw the ball his way when he's playing DB in the NFL.
No.
It was half a field. Don't even throw it that way. And he was a through-and-through Hall of Famer, a two-sports star, played in Major League Baseball. One time he played during the World Series and the NFL season and played in the same day.
And helped them win.
It was pretty amazing. But he has a bone to pick with what's happened to the Pro Football Hall of Fame. And he thinks it's become way too easy to get in. Let's hear Deion Sanders, the Hall of Famer.
The Hall of Fame ain't the Hall of Fame no more. I love it. I respect it. I admire it. I think all the guys who are inducted definitely are deserving. But it needs to be a different color jacket. My jacket got to be a different color. It need to be a starting 11. It need to be an upper room. My head don't belong with some of these other heads that's in the Hall of Fame. Put my head, what they call them, bust? Well, I call it the head.
Bust.
Put my head. Do that. Put my head where my head's supposed to be. My head don't supposed to be about him. I'm sorry. I'm just being honest. I'm saying what y'all thinking, and a lot of y'all Hall of Famers are thinking the same thing. This thing is becoming a free-for-all now, man. If you play good, no, it ain't good. It's people that change the game. That's what the Hall of Fame is.
He's spot on. I'm going to tell you, I have a problem with where we're going with some of these Hall of Fames and people who are getting in prematurely. We saw the top 75 list. Damian Lillard's on the top 75 list.
I couldn't believe it.
Anthony Davis is on the top. I mean, we could go on, and we've seen the Baseball Hall of Fame. They're letting people in through the back door. Harold Baines was a good player,
Good.
JR.
He was solid.
Was he a Hall of Famer?
Neither was Alan Trammell.
Alan Trammell, back door. Jack Morris. Back door.
Yeah.
There's a ton of guys that are now going through like Veterans Committee and whatnot. This past year, only one guy was elected to the Baseball Hall of Fame by the writers. And you guys can poo-poo the writers all you want, but we're the most objective. Most of the question marks come from when players vote and former executives or team broadcasters. That's where the line is skewed. And in Deion Sanders' case, and what he's talking about, the Pro Football Hall of Fame, they're talking about everybody. After the Rams won the Super Bowl, they were like, Stafford's should go in the Hall of Fame.
So should Cooper Kupp, according to a couple people. He's the greatest ever, right?
What?
I mean, overnight.
JR, what?
Well, I got to say, Deion's out of his mind to me on this one. Right? I have to disagree a little bit. I love Deion, everything he stands for, but I think the NFL Hall of Fame.
Pro Football Hall of Fame.
Pro Football Hall of Fame. I really don't think it's that easy to get into.
Oh, I think it's easy.
I think nowadays baseball might be easier, and basketball might even be easier because
no, but baseball you don't get in through the writers. I'm telling you, look at the last few years. The numbers are small. It's not a lot of guys getting in. Football, they put 15 guys in.
Yeah, but lately the NFL has been harder to get into. I think especially the way the game has changed and the defenses and the offensive style, which is now a 70-30 pass to throw game. I think is going to only get harder. But let's read. You agree with Deion, but I do not. Let's read some of the names of some guys who are still not in the Hall of Fame, Rob, since you said they throw in everybody. Andre Johnson, 7-time Pro Bowler, still not in. If we go old school, you go Jim Marshall. He was a beast, still not in. Patrick Willis, not in. Steve Smith Sr., not in. Hines Ward, not in.
Steve Smith Sr., what did he do?
Look at the stats.
I'm asking you. Did he win anything?
Oh, we're talking about individuals.
It should be a combination of stuff, not just by
but if
playing
you play on a bad team. You're playing a bad team. I'm not going to take. You got
to have all-time great. You got to have all-time great numbers, but you got to have some all-time great numbers in order to make it in the Hall of Fame. If there's a debate about you, I question whether you belong in that Hall of Fame.
Okay.
When I say Deion Sanders, you got a debate? Is there a debate?
Hines Ward. Reggie Wayne, Torrey Holt, Lester Hayes.
You putting in
Roger
everybody.
Craig, Elsie Greenwood.
You think all these guys are Hall of Famers?
For sure.
Absolutely not. That's the Hall of Very Good, that list you got.
Who's not a Hall of Famer on this list?
All those guys.
Roger Craig, first guy to go 1,000, and that's what the game is now.
Okay, and he played.
And Deion said those guys who changed the game. Roger Craig's the first running back to go 1,000 yards rushing, 1,000 yards receiving in the season. He's into me. Lester Hayes is one half of the greatest cornerback duo potentially in the history of the NFL. Torrey Holt's numbers were insane. He was great at NC State because I covered him 4 years in high school, and he was even better with the Greatest Show on Turf. Reggie Wayne, if you're going to put Harrison in, you got to put Wayne in. They were Peyton Manning's receivers, for goodness sakes, right?
Everybody can't get in, and you just have a laundry list that's way too. Everybody wasn't great.
I agree.
You're naming way too many guys who even played in the same. Hines Ward, what did he? I got it.
He's borderline.
Okay, he's right. Hines Ward was a very good player.
He didn't change the game.
A lot of these guys are very good, and I'm not trying to disrespect them.
I agree.
But my thing is, if you're talking about great all-time players. If I have to debate you about somebody, it should be of this ilk. This is me. Mm-hmm. Mariano Rivera, are you going to question that? Peyton Manning, is there a question? There's no debate about Peyton Manning. When Aaron Rodgers hangs it up, is there a debate about Aaron Rodgers being a Hall of Famer? That's where it should be.
There's some clear-cut Hall of Famers.
Well, but there's only, to me... You got to be clear cut. Right? You got to be clear cut.
They don't have that in football.
There's too many brown, gray areas, and a lot of guys are JR very good,
and people like them,
right? But they're not Hall of Famers.
They were fan favorites,
and
right?
I think that's where the problem comes in because it has to be the best of the best. And I know there's some. What is it? Who's the guy that they're all complaining about? Baselli. Okay. That's the one. Tony Baselli, like they're like pushing back on Tony Baselli. They really don't want him. Here's the list.
But he played 7 years, 5 Pro Bowls, right?
Yeah, I'm just
something of that nature.
Like, but I'm saying like guys who played during that era are saying he don't belong, and now there's all this pushback. They're the way that they do the Hall of Fame is weird because the writers get in a room and you got to make a presentation. I'm not a part of the Pro Football Hall of Fame.
Right.
I just know from what people tell me on how the procedure goes. Baseball is totally different. There's a ballot. You got to get 75% of the vote. Nobody's pushing for anybody. That's not how it is. You got to go on your own merit. But I just think that you got to stop with the Hall of Very Good. And that's where I think we've gone, where everybody thinks everybody's a Hall of Famer. And I just told you, the top 75. How in the world is Damian Lillard a top 75 player of all time? I'm just asking.
But Alex
and Dwight Howard. Dwight Howard was left off the list.
But Adrian Dantley or Mark Aguirre are not.
This is what
crazy.
That's just what I'm saying.
Dwight Howard.
Mark
Aguirre. Who else? Adrian Dantley on Adrian Dantley.
I don't know how these things are being
Alex English
judged. I think he played most of his years in the ABA. Is that it? I don't know.
Alex English is awesome.
Right? No, I get it. But I'm just saying,
he's top 75 scorer all time.
I'm trying to think of the list.
I agree with you.
Cliff Branch. Here's the class of 2022. Cliff Branch, Leroy Butler, Sam Mills, Richard Seymour, Bryant Young, Dick Vermeil, and Art McNally.
That's a weak class, though.
Dick Vermeil. Let's not talk about coaches because he finally won a Super Bowl, right, with the Rams.
Richard Seymour was cool.
Sam Mills, right? Leroy Butler.
Reggie White.
Well, but that's what I'm trying to say. But that's the level it should be.
Right.
It should be to me, it should be like you say a name and there's no debate.
Right.
Like you can't push back. If you say Reggie White, there's no conversation. You're going to say no, he doesn't belong in the Hall of Fame?
No.
Or even, now here's one. Megatron with the Lions. Didn't win anything, but he had, if you look at his numbers and what he was able to do during that time,
right,
he put up some of the greatest numbers for a receiver. You got to either have that if you've been on a bad team or
Torrey Holt, but go ahead.
Yeah, I'm just saying.
Okay.
He's one of those guys.
Yep.
And somebody could have made a case that he never played in a big game. He never won anything.
Holt was a finalist.
You could make that
this year, so he'll make it. He was a finalist this year.
Well, then there's a good chance.
Yeah.
But I think Deion and these guys have to look at it, and we can talk about.
So why don't you give some type of platinum level patch, right? That's what I'm thinking. So maybe there's a
no, we don't need all
level.
That.
There's another patch you put on.
How about you just don't make it? How about you just don't make it?
Time in my position.
How about you just don't make it? The Hall of Fame is special. All right. I just got into my Martin Van Buren High School Hall of Fame. You know how many people are in that Hall of Fame? And you were at the ceremony.
Sure. 15
kids who went to Martin Van Buren High School that's been open since the 50s
right.
are in the Hall of Fame. And you can't
exclusive, a truly exclusive club.
Right? But 15 kids for a school that's been open since the 50s. That's exclusive. And I'm not pat myself on the back.
Something about
I'm
the
just
voters
saying
too, though.
That's where we should be.
Right? We have these beat writers and these people that don't actually cover all the teams, right? There's certain teams they like, certain teams they cover. A lot of times these guys are voting for guys that they shouldn't be voting for. A lot of times they don't know more than the average guy on the street about who should be voted into the Hall of Fame.
Well, I think they know more than guys.
Why? Because you cover the Packers, you know more than a Vikings fan about the Vikings?
But you've seen more games, and I think if you're a Vikings fan, you're voting. You just want people who are played for the Vikings,
right?
Whereas you want to be objective. It shouldn't be just teams that you cover.
Agreed.
That you see what I'm saying? Like it can't be just for teams that you cover.
They don't know the player. They're not familiar enough with the players because they've had their head down in the beat of one or two particular teams for so long.
But the difference is you've been on the road. You've covered all the teams. You've seen these guys play live all over. I covered the Lions for 20 years as a columnist. I went to every stadium in America. I watched guys play. I remember Matt Ryan's first pass in the NFL, which was a touchdown pass against the Lions. His very first pass. But I'm saying I was there, and I can remember all these moments. I remember when Calvin didn't make the catch in Chicago. You remember you got to finish the play. What was it? What do they call it? In the process, or you got to complete the catch.
Same thing that happened to Des Bryant in a couple years ago in that playoff game, right?
Right. So. I mean, I've been there. I've seen it. I think the writers are the most objective. I really believe that. I do. And not because I get to vote for the Baseball Hall of Fame. But we want to hear from you on this. And you could be any of the Hall of Fames we're talking about. I agree with Deion. JR thinks that there are way too many players who have been denied, and it's hard to get in. We want to hear from you, 877-99 on Fox. I know we got some calls.
Yeah, let's go to Hoosier Land. Sam in Indiana, you're on The Odd Couple, Fox Sports Radio with Rob Parker and the Gambler.
Hey, how you guys doing tonight?
Doing great. What's up, bud?
Hey, Rob, I got to agree with you 100%. You're spot on about some of these players making the top 75 list, and then on the Hall of Fame, Deion's exactly right. I'll give you an example that's what the writers, a player that they've kept out, but it used to be a stat that they would always get in on. And he shouldn't be in the Hall of Fame. But Jamie Moyer, the pitcher for the Cubs and other teams, 300 wins. But because he stuck around so long.
No, he doesn't have 300 wins. Jamie Moyer doesn't have 300 wins.
He's not a 300 win pitcher.
If you have 300 wins, you get in the Hall of Fame. Right. He's not a.
Well, isn't he just short of it? I thought he had 300 at the end of his career.
No, he didn't make it to 300.
Did he even make it to 250?
What did he get?
He's 269 and 209.
But he pitched for like 25 years. I mean, if you do the math, JR, that's like 11 wins a year.
Yeah, and
it ain't that impressive.
2,400 strikeouts over,
right.
20-year career.
It ain't that impressive, even though it's like
one all-star team.
Right, there you go.
20 years, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 18.
You know what? And Tommy John was the same thing. He pitched for a lot of teams. He pitched 25 years in the big leagues. He put up compiled numbers, but he wasn't a Hall of Famer. 877-99 on Fox.
Yes, let's go to the calls. We have Will in Oklahoma City. You're on The Odd Couple, Fox Sports Radio with Rob Parker and the Gambler. What you got?
What's up, fellas? How's it going tonight?
Man, doing good. How you?
Good. Hey, I just real quick, I think I'm going to agree with Deion on the NFL. The MLB is a totally different can of worms.
Yep.
But going back to the NFL, I think that's what's wrong with the world today is the participation trophies. We can't just be giving it out right and left. I don't think any diamond or platinum patches have, a place in there. That's all I got to say.
No, I'm with you. Either you're in the Hall of Fame or you're not. And if it was up to me, JR, you'd only get one shot. Like the first time you're on the ballot.
Right.
Like this Veterans Committee, and they letting in Harold Baines and Alan Trammell and all these guys. Come on, man. We can't do that. No, let's make it one door to get in, not two doors. One door.
Sounds good. Let's go to Zach in Utah. You're on Odd Couple Radio, Odd Couple, Fox Sports Radio with Rob, Parker, and the Gambler.
What's up, fellas? How we doing?
Doing good. How are you?
Doing good. Hey, I agree with Deion and you, Rob. Like, all these chumps getting into the Hall of Fame when they'd only accomplished stuff in their career due to other people. Like, Reggie Wayne wouldn't have been Reggie Wayne without Peyton Manning. You got me?
Right.
Like,
He's not.
there's other people like Megatron, those people who are exceptional that it doesn't matter who their quarterback was, they would have done the same exact thing. That's why I think Devontae Adams is going to do well in Las Vegas with Derek Carr because he's Devontae Adams. Like, we got to stop letting people in for participation trophies.
But
I'm with you.
Wait a minute, Zach. You think Reggie Wayne is a Hall of Famer because he had Peyton Manning as a quarterback, so he couldn't do anything on his own?
No, I don't think he was saying. I think he was saying the opposite. I think.
No, he said he had Peyton Manning, so that's
Oh,
the
that's
reason
what. That's why. Oh,
you discount him.
You got to give players credit.
Yeah, thank
I mean,
you.
it
That's
can't,
all I'm saying. You
it
can't
can't
say
be.
that
It
now.
can't be strictly that.
Cool.
So this will be. It's I think there are a lot of people. Oh, we got one more. Let's
Yeah.
squeeze one more in.
Let's go to Tim in Atlanta. You're on Odd Couple Radio. The Odd Couple with Fox Sports Radio with Rob Parker and the Gambler.
Yo, what up, Rob? What up,
Hey,
John?
Chili Tim, can you hear?
Yeah, can you hear me?
I can barely hear you. I don't know what's happening. Go ahead.
Can you hear me now? Yeah, so I think it's easy to get in, and the one-shot thing, Rob, would work if the writers would be fair. But look at Terrell Owens, like they held him out because of personal things, the guys that didn't like him or whatever. And so, you got to know that they're going to be fair about it. They're going to limit to the players on the field, what they do on the field, and we got to set a standard to say this is what it's going to be about. None of the outside stuff. It's strictly about the sport that they participated in. It's the numbers.
Tim,
and then you can do that one shot.
Tim, I agree with that. The Terrell Owens thing was the worst. He was definitely a first ballot. And if you have those perimeters where it's a one-shot deal and it ain't about second try, third try, fourth try, and give people their vote on merit, I just think you would narrow down a lot of guys and just put the best of the best in. You know what I mean? Like, that's what we should do. Not put everybody in, or everybody who had a cup of coffee and a sweet roll in the league shouldn't be getting into the Hall of Fame. All right.